Hello, hello, hello. Hi, welcome to the Shelly Show. I'm Shalendra and you're watching the simulcast live on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. I hope you're safe and doing well. Now, during the presentation of Union Budget 2022-23 in the Parliament of India this year, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman announced that India will have a strong focus on some of the initiatives in 2022-23, which include a digital university, digital currency, 5G, and under the leadership and guidance of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So I decided to bring in thought leaders in this space so that they can share their experiences and knowledge so both the government of India and people of India can learn from them. These learnings can also be applied across different countries. I'm planning to run 4 episodes every fortnight and bring to you some very senior thought leaders in this in the emerging technology in these emerging areas, so that you can hear their point of view. For you to view this episode and other sessions that I run on emerging technology live, I would request you to follow me so that you can be alerted when a live session is on. This gives you an opportunity to directly ask questions from our guests. So please press the follow button on LinkedIn and Twitter and subscribe button on YouTube. If you're watching this now, then don't shy away. Just say a hi to us and tell us which city you are joining us from, which country, which city you are joining us from, so that we also know where our audience is based. For this series, we have a different format. Up until now, you've seen that we have a very conversational format, but for this particular series, we will have a presentation style format where our guests will run through a presentation, share their thoughts, and after the presentation, I will take the questions and pose the questions to them that you've asked in the comment section. So please ask your questions in the comment section, and any question that you have, so that I can take them after the presentation. So please put your questions in the comment section. Today I also have a giveaway for you. All those people who are watching this on LinkedIn, this is a very good app for you guys. This app helps you understand how your LinkedIn profile projects to the world, and what is missing in your profile. So here is an app which uses machine learning, available on both iOS and Android. It's free of cost. At the moment, it's invite only, free of cost. And when you scan this Link Plus AI QR code, or if you search it on your Play Store or App Store, Link Plus AI, you get to the app. It will ask you for an invite code, and the invite code is 611074. This will help you check what issues you have on your profile. And guess what? It's only invite only for the moment. So please be there, watch, and look at it. Okay, very quickly. So scan this QR code or search for Link Plus AI and apply the invite code 611074. Okay, coming back to the content. So the digital university will enable learning through digital methods. It will replace physical classrooms with virtual ones. For this purpose, one class, one TV channel program of PM E-Vidya will be expanded from 12 to 400 television channels, is what Dr. Nirmala Sitharaman said in her budget speech. So let's hear from our guests on their point of view on digital university, and you, my audience, can ask questions in the comment section, and I will take those questions after the presentation. So let's get in our guests. Our first guest is Bhupesh Daheria. Bhupesh has over 27 years of experience in running higher education, developing digital solutions, and infra for universities, colleges, and corporates. His life is focused on eradicating the birth penalty by making education, skills, and job opportunities accessible to everyone by breaking location, socioeconomic barriers, by improving the quality, efficiency, and effectiveness of the current system of education through digitization, scalable digital platform. Currently, his company mUniCampus is providing digital infra to over 670 educational institutions. He's the founder of mUniCampus and CEO of Aegis School of Data Science, Cybersecurity, and Telecom. So, without any further ado, let me bring in Bhupesh. Hi, Bhupesh. How are you doing?
Thank you, Shailendra. Good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for having me in this talk show.
Good
I'm
stuff.
really excited to have a conversation on this topic, which our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi has announced about digital university. Thank you so much,
Good
Shailendra.
stuff. Thank you for taking the time out. So, in the next, say, 35 to 40 minutes, 45 minutes, you can take your time. I would request you to share your thoughts on digital university and how is it going to impact the people of India. Of course, the government of India as well has taken this great initiative. So, please go for it and start your presentation. Take your time and go for it.
Fantastic. Thank you, Shailendra. Thank you so much. And good afternoon, everybody, those who have joined this webinar from across the world. So instead of me becoming Asharam Bapu and doing the monologue, what I'll try to really do, I'll try to really set up the context about traditional university, what are the challenges, what are the advantages of traditional university system, and how this digital university concept, which is shaping up, which is nothing new, is a quite old notion, but has gained huge momentum during these last 2 years of COVID. Uh, so I'll set up the context and I'll open to all the audiences in terms of asking the question. Even during my presentation, if you feel like asking any question, feel free to really ask me. Shailendra, you can nudge me because while I'm sharing the screen, I can only see my PPT and not any video or any chat. Uh, so I was trying to really gather my thought what I should really speak about. So instead of directly speaking on the notion about digital university, I thought of what will make a digital university concept a reality, right? And here I thought of sharing my practical experience of last 20 years of building up various digital technology, digital stack, digital infrastructure, because that's the foundation. Any brick mortar university, all the educators and academicians, they are expert in terms of building a brick mortar university. But while we're talking about digital university, the first and foremost important thing is infrastructure, and that is a digital infrastructure. So I am going to really share my thoughts around what are the various components of digital infrastructure which will make this vision of digital university. And I'm not using singular word university, I am saying universities. Because personally, as a academician, as a educator, as a student, right, and as a education entrepreneur, I'm not really convinced with the phenomena of single university for the entire country, right? So there has to be multiple digital university, and rather every university, every college in this country has an opportunity to transform them with through digitization process as a digital university, right? And that's where I'm going to really share my thoughts. These are the some numbers which all of you are aware of, but I thought of really bringing it to uh, your active consciousness that what kind of numbers we are talking about. Right. These kind of numbers are not unheard in the Western world, but our magnitude, our numbers are enormous, and the kind of digital infrastructure will require. Perhaps we have to really build the digital infrastructure right from the scratch rather than borrowing in bits and pieces, which I will really talk about. Right. There are 950 universities. This seems to be old number, right? And there are 52,000 colleges, right, across the country. Education market is roughly around say $180 billion, right? Uh, this is the fate of education institution. 800 engineering colleges are likely to shut down out of 3,500 colleges in last 2 years. uh, the backbone of lot of traditional big market institutions is broken down. They are struggling with their finances. They're struggling with the delivery, and most of them they had no digital tool in terms of really right from conduction of examination or delivery of uh, education. And we have seen what kind of chaos India has seen, despite of the fact that we are super IT power, right? So these are couple of challenges which most of you are aware, whether you're in academia or not in general. These are further challenges, right? Number of institutions are growing, number of students are growing, gross enrollment ratio is absolutely poor. The one of the reason behind digital university concept is to really increase the gross enrollment ratio, but that's not only one issue. There are multiple issues. While you have to really deliver quality education, the cost of delivery is increasing, the cost of recruitment is increasing, the skill gap of not only students but faculty member is also growing. The skill gap among those who are employed in various companies is also growing. Anybody who's working in typically in IT company having age of say 20, 32, 35, their skill gap has increased drastically, and that's where all major IT companies have undergone major upskilling requirements, right? In last 4 5 years. This is the say FICI EY report which was published 3 years back, right? Which also gives uh, some striking number. These numbers not necessarily will translate in say doomsday, but it also gives some kind of indication that what kind of education transformation we need to really do. And education is not primarily constrained to the traditional vision wherein you enroll in school at the age of 5 and then you graduate at 22 or 23 or maybe by 25 and done. No, today country has to really lead the you need to really offer the continuous education, uh, maybe till age of 60 or 65 or even 70, right? So gone are those days. So you have to continuously skill and reskill, right? So this is the current scenario, right? So while I also run AGC School of Data Science, one day I encountered one gentleman. His daughter joined a college, and at the age of around say 48, he also joined a PGP program in data science. So that's what the scenario is changing, right? So the traditional view of education, that education is only for kids, is no more a valid notion. So every university need to really include this kind of changing paradigm in their strategy, which also makes a good business strategy, but at the same time about contribution in a big way in a larger perspective to the nation building exercise. Right now, most of us we are not aware. So I wanted to really share this number that education industry is one of the largest industry worldwide. The telecom industry revenue worldwide is roughly around 1.5 trillion. Education industry is 4 times bigger than the telecom industry. So we should not really uh, only think that education is only for educating and empowering. It has also got huge impact in terms of countries' GDP, and nobody can better tell you other than Australia or UK or New Zealand or Canada or perhaps Netherlands how education tuition fee contributes in big way to their GDP. Right? India's revenue is roughly around 150 to 180 billion dollar. So we know what kind of contribution as far as money is concerned, education industry plays in the global map. In next 10 years, in 8 years, this revenue is likely to be roughly around $10 trillion. We can understand that even cut today's uh, revenue of education industry is almost more than the double of India's GDP. So we should not underestimate the impact of education also on to the GDP contribution. While all other industries, be it telecom, be it IT, be it manufacturing, be it pharma, is heavily influenced by digitization. This is the industry which has not been so welcoming to digital technologies. But ironically, thanks to COVID, which has forced digitization in last 2 years, which I have not seen in last even 20 years or 25 years. Right? Why I'm using again and again industry word and why I'm bringing the monetary perspective, because among academicians, this is talking about money is kind of a taboo. But now in last 2 years, everybody must have felt the heat, other than the government funded universities, how important business model need to be. And if they have to really expand, if they have to really increase the outreach, there is no other way than going for the digitization. Okay, so let's talk about digital university concept. So digital university is not merely converting a brick mortar university into a digital university. Digital university can take its own form without having any association with a brick mortar industry. So there are two paths which goes. You can really build a digital university right from the scratch without having any, say, large brick mortar infrastructure which is needed typically for setting up university. So in any state in India, if you go, you typically require 15 acres to 25 acres of land to really set up a university. And place like Bombay, it is impossible to really get this kind of land. It does not really make a financial viability, right? So while you can also convert your existing brick mortar university into digital university, and you can really start offering online courses, start delivering it, which we'll further discuss. But at the same time, you can also start a digital university at a fresh. Although we don't have any kind of framework at this point of time within the regulatory framework, other than they say open universities, roughly around 14 state open universities are there and one national open university which is IGNOU. And I feel that yes, they can be easily transformed into digital university because regulatory framework is already there that they can really offer distance education across the country or maybe perhaps across the world. Right. So digital university is a conceptual framework from my point of view. Right. It consists broadly six pillars, which is basically design launch, which is basically digital teaching, learning, academic admin, assessment, skilling, and finally job placement. Right. So these are not new concepts. These are traditionally these are the simplified broader pillars of even traditional brick mortar college or any university or any academic institution, right? I'm going to really elaborate on each of these points and which are the digital technologies support these pillars. So this is the higher education digital framework which we have created at University, and we have been advocating around that. This is overly simplified, but I believe the power of simplicity. That if you have to really build a very strong, say, higher education institution, right, or institutions, I believe firmly that these six pillars has to work in tandem, and none of pillar can be a weak pillar, right? And let me elaborate on each of these pillars. So launch is basically, so the most important thing, you have to really design a course which suits to the need of not only the job requirement but overall say growth of as a individual being, right? And then you have to really launch that so that you can really get the student. Then once you get the student, you have to really teach them, you have to educate them, and then while they're studying, you have to administer them in terms of really attendance, in terms of their transcript, in terms of really conduction of their examination, assessment, and then you have to also provide the skilling because the reality of today's world is cost of education has grown exponentially, and majority of the students they either opt for education loan or they grab the saving of their parents, which is essentially for their older age, which need to be repaid back to the parent, which this notion is not quite comfortable notion in India, but that should be ideally happening, right? So whether it is a borrowed money from the bank or a borrowed money from your parents, right? Uh, mm, and traditional education curriculum cannot be changed so rapidly. Uh, I have been attending various conferences, national and international conferences over, say, last 2 decades, and everybody talks about, say, industry and academia interaction, make curriculum more industry ready, but it never happens, right? Because university moves its own pace. By the time university incorporates those skills into their curriculum, maybe those skills becomes irrelevant, right? And you cannot keep on changing the curriculum again and again. So you also need to really have very strong separate pillar for the skilling, which will not disturb your regular curriculum, right? And then finally, you need to really offer them the job, meaningful work, whatever you want to really call, right? So it's very important. And those who are into, say, private education world, they understand whether in India and overseas, if there is no job placement, if your program does not lead to any kind of job placement, uh, believe me, you'll have a huge difficulty in terms of really getting students admitted into your program, specifically for professional degree programs. So all these 6 pillars need to really work in tandem. And whether it is a digital university or whether it is traditional brick mortar university or a college, all these 6 pillars are very critical, right? And we will see in subsequent slides that how, whether you want to really offer online courses, ODL courses, or whether you want to really convert into a digital university or not. But if you have to really improve the efficiency and effectiveness of each of these 6 pillars, there is no other way than going digital. You have to do the digitization. And you cannot really do digitization in bits and pieces, right? You have to really think the digitization as a framework in a holistic way. Now, so but in if we see, there are various components of technology which you might have heard about: learning management system, web conferencing, virtual classroom, right, online testing, MOOC platforms, digital studio, right, education ERP, online placement, right, online assessment tools. So there, say, admission management system, online application, lead management. So all these tools and solutions have been built in West over last 30 years, brick by brick, right? So one way is that if you want to really do the digitization, and the objective could be both, either offering online courses or supporting your existing brick mortar, say, delivery. But so there are 2 ways: either you pick these tools brick and by brick and do digitization in incremental way, or the other approach is go in unified digital infrastructure, right? Go in one go rather than taking bits and pieces. I'll tell you what are the why you should not go brick and by brick, because West has built brick by brick because all these technologies were not available. But today, since we are the late adopters, we have all these technologies available in one go. And rather than doing incremental way, we should really adopt all these technologies in one go so that we can really reduce down the cost and we can improve the performance and we can, for, say, better learning outcome and improved experience. uh, and that's where, I have been propagating that yes, you should really go for the unified digital infrastructure, not go in incremental way, because if you go in an incremental way, in silo ways, your cost of digitization is going to drastically increase. Typically, any American university, let's say Carnegie Mellon or Harvard, or Wharton, their digitization cost ranges from, say, $100 to roughly around $200 a month per student, which is a huge cost. And if you really take up, say, JNU kind of university, $200 is maybe the fees of the entire year. And when you have really invest this kind of money of $100 $200 by buying each bits and pieces, the digitization dream is not going to really happen. And that tells us that why in last even 20 years today the LMS, learning management system, which is the backbone, irrespective whether you're going offering online or not, learning management system is very critical backbone of improving the learning outcome. Even for the traditional brick mortar education institutions, the LMS penetration in India is roughly around 3%, while UK it is roughly around 96%. America, I'm talking about US and Canada both, is roughly around 95%. In India, it is a 3%. Even various parts of the Europe, the LMS penetration is hardly 10 to 15%. Africa is similar to India. Uh, why low penetration of LMS? Two fundamental reasons. One, lack of awareness. Uh, Second, the cost of execution. Right? Because even if you take, say, open source learning management system called Moodle, the hosting cost on the cloud is going to be enormous. Right? And if you really go for the proprietary world-class solutions like Blackboard or Desire to Learn, the cost is enormous, which does not really support the kind of fees we really charge. So if we have really build world-class digital universities or a university, we need to really think about building up a holistic digital infrastructure which will have all these silo tools and solutions in single monolithic cloud platform as a part of digital stack. Right. So number one piece, first piece is basically designing the course curriculum and launching it. So typically, how do you really design? So let's compare it with other industries. So Steve Jobs designed a wonderful piece of art and wonderful piece of technology, which is called iPhone. And since the product is designed well and the product was launched well, it made a commercial viability, right? And it made Apple as a multi-trillion dollar organization. Now, likewise, we as academia also need to really rethink about designing our course curriculum and specifically in the professional education, where the delivery cost is also high, so the fees is also high, and the expectation from the students is pretty high, whether it is brick mortar or whether it is a digital university. There we need to really adopt some kind of artificial intelligence and big data technologies to identify what is happening around in the market so that we can really bridge the gap. And let me give you an example which we did at our school, Aegis School of. So I'm associated with two organizations, a non-profit organization which is called Aegis School of Data Science, which is under Aegis Knowledge Trust, and I am also part of a profit-making company which is called mUniCampus, which provides the digital infrastructure. Right? So at Aegis, while when we started Asia's first postgraduate program in data science and applied AI in cybersecurity, we did a different approach. And what approach we adopted, instead of just setting up an advisory board of academicians and industry experts, we also did the market intelligence that what is needed for designing a course. And MUNI, my other company, helped to really build AI and big data based tool which actually precisely tells us that which are the courses which are relevant, which are the technologies which are relevant for you to teach into this program, right? Because higher the experience, the higher the biases you really bring in. To bring in point in case, let's say you have done PhD in mathematics or statistics. So you will overemphasize that data science is only about mathematics and statistics. Let's say you're a PhD in business management and you have worked in some management consulting. You'll overemphasize that analytics or say management domain knowledge is the only key thing in data science. Let's say you PhD in computer science, you'll overemphasize about coding or only technology tools. So everybody, and that's kind of cognitive bias we really build, higher the experience, high number of degrees, super specialization we have, our views become narrow and narrow, and we bring in the bias. And that's where big data technologies and artificial intelligence can really cut the clutter and can really try to really give us the single truth beyond our own biases. And also, it is extremely difficult while the jobs and JDs are keep on changing. It is extremely difficult for human being to keep a track of what skills and what technologies are being needed in the market. So this tool is very effective, and using these tools, we keep on changing our curriculum. The other very important factor is while whether it is a traditional university and when we are building up a digital university, we need to really have a marketplace. I know a lot of academicians would like to shy away with the notion of a marketplace, but these marketplaces are a reality. So today, whether we talk about Coursera or edX or Udemy or maybe Great Learning or Upgrade or even my own company, mUniCampus, here the front end typically is a marketplace, right? Although they are called MOOC, but they are basically aggregation platform which is selling the courses. So as a digital university has to really think about what will be the course catalog, how they're going to really make the courses information accessible to learners so that they can really enroll. And no better place to really acquire the domain understanding how to do it better than say e-commerce companies. And from there all these edtech companies have borrowed the notion of education marketplace, but there's nothing wrong. It's so effective, and their recommendation systems are so powerful that a student is not overwhelmed with what need to which course he need to really enroll for, which degree programs it need to enroll for, and these machine learning, deep learning based recommender system can really play a massive role in going forward. So this is the tool which I was talking about. So based on this tool, we can really analyze. So we have analyzed roughly around 29,000 jobs available in the market, and this is able to really tell us which skills are more important. So let's say in 2015, R was more prominent, but by 2018 and 19, Python became much more prominent. So today there are almost 18,000 jobs as on today available in the market in Python, right? So our tool analyzes the jobs, and since Python became prominent, we made Python as a core course rather than R, right? And R was replaced with the Python, and R became elective, and Python became the core course, right? SQL. So while there is a whole talk about big data, if you really see, there are 14,000 jobs available in SQL vis-a-vis Hadoop, which is only 2,000 jobs. And SQL emerged as one of the prominent key skills for whether you're becoming a data scientist or whether you're becoming a AI engineer, because still the world works on the SQL and you have to really fetch the data from there. So this kind of tool actually gives you the perspective, and it really cut the clutter from your human biases. The second pillar, which need to be very strong if you're trying to really build up a digital university notion, that we need to really have very strong technology based support for admitting students, right? We are talking about say millions and millions of students, those who are going to really apply for these courses, because as our honorable Prime Minister Mr. Modi said, okay, the seats need to be infinite, unlimited seats, right? So today the students are suffering with a notion which I always termed as a say birth penalty, right? What is birth penalty? Let's say you're born in Bastar, even though you do post graduation, uh, you'll never get the equal opportunity as even a 10th fail boy in Bombay or maybe in New York will really get. So you don't first you don't have access to the quality education. You even if you somehow acquire degrees or skills, you will never have the equal opportunity to the work. Thanks to COVID, say remote working jobs now are available to the students. And while every day I interview engineers now, I really happy to see that candidates are willing to really work at their home and start working. So the other day I was interviewing one candidate from Bihar, and he was at his hometown in his village, and he said, no, I don't want to really travel to Bombay, the cost of living is too high, I would be comfortable working from the home. And we happily agreed, right? So and if you really see, this has happened just because of the digitization, right? Ironically, uh, the COVID villain has to really force us to really do and think on those lines. But anyway, coming back to, just deviated. Let me come back to this admit stuff, that when you have really support millions of students, uh, you have to have very strong system which can really manage leads, segregate it, give it to say call centers or support team. You need to also get the international student, right? So how you're going to really manage the differential fees or same fees, right? You need to have very strong virtual conversational bot powered by natural language processing and AI. Because when you have really deal with the millions of students' queries, humanly it is not going to really possible. And for this large country, any human-based system, any human-based call center is going to really collapse, right? Online system has to be really robust. I built India's first online application system way back in 2002, right? Which QS Network eventually adopted as a G4 top apply, right? And now this online application system is used by hundreds of universities in India and US on mUni. But you need to really have a centralized online application system, very robust application system, which can really accommodate all kind of data points, right? Then your admission, the digital admission system should be capable of accommodating any kind of admission process. Because what I firmly believe, instead of a building of one centralized digital university, we need to really have convert each brick mortar university is a digital university, each college is a digital college, and each open university, which is IGNO, which is Raja Bhoj, which is Yashwant Rao Chauhan Open University, need to be converted into a digital university. And each university has got their own process of admission. Just like every top world class university has got their own admission process, we need to really have a very flexible admission process system, which your digital system should be able to really facilitate. Let's say, for example, you want to really conduct the admission test, which could be the aptitude test. It need to be AI proctored, right? You should be able to really support subjective examination. It should be able to support group discussion, whether it is a virtual group discussion or on campus interviews. An interview is one of the hugely biased process. How do we really build, say, some level of objectivity and remove the human biases? That's very critical, right? And you need to really say capture every response which interviewers are giving, and this these each response need to be measured against a weight, and we need to really they capture each response, and we need to really build a trustworthy network. Wherein, if as a student I want to really see on what basis I was selected and on what basis I was rejected, I have a right to really have access what is my admission test score and what was my score in interview and what basis I was graded, right? So all kind of facility this digital system need to really encompass, and I'm glad that yes, we have been successful to really build and offer this solution to couple of universities. An admission system will have all these kind of, say, it will really facilitate the entire process. This slide is just there, you can really have a look. I know I don't want to just elaborate, but it will give you a bird's eye view that yes, what kind of all, right from say lead, online application, then offer letter, confirm offer letter, conditional offer letter. It should encompass collection of the fees, right, a linkage with various, say, UPI payments or bank transfer, or even it should facilitate the bank loans and those kind of stuff. So we have seen first design of the course, launch of the program. Second, we have seen the admission of the student, which is very critical. And one of the important point which I missed to point, that this admission system should also have, say, AI capability beyond the human biases, which can really advise student that what course they need to really enroll, which program they need to really enroll. Because the other day I was hearing the UGC chairman that, unlike the traditional university system wherein we are admitting students, and this is basically elimination process, in digital university notion which they are thinking still this has to really take shape, how this will uh, take a physical shape. uh, at least there is a consensus that in digital university, on the line of Honorable Prime Minister's vision, that it will not be elimination process. It means that if somebody want to really enroll for BA Economics or say BSc Data Science, n number of student in five number of student can really enroll. But that also creates a problem, and we can really learn from the example of Coursera or edX. The dropout rate in Coursera is roughly around 98%. edX is similar, 98, 99%. So students enroll for the course, they don't complete. And there are a couple of factors why they don't complete, right? We can really debate for hours and hours. But here are my some uh, practical feedback which I took from the student. Number one, there is no interactivity. It's an asynchronous model of delivery. But when you have to really deliver it to the millions of candidates, if you have to really build a synchronous model, it also builds in, creates a logistic issue, and the cost also increases. Okay, we park it a while. The second, which I feel the most important thing, is the motivation of the student, because the student is not motivated. He doesn't see the visibility that even if I finish this course, what is there? What is the end goal? And since I saw the email of Coursera, I saw my friend has joined, so I have also joined, but I never complete. So we need to really, our system need to be so capable, whether we involve human counselors or whether we involve AI technology to guide students in terms of which course, which program is suitable for them, right? And that's how we'll be able to really improve the completion rate. Of course, completion rate also, uh, what kind of course content you're offering, whether it leads to the job or not, or say who's teaching, what is the validity of that program, how interactive that program is, right? All those kind of factors also matter. But one of the most important factor is the motivation of the student. If I feel this program is useful, if I feel this program is of my interest, I'm going to really complete, even the delivery is bad. I may really learn from some other sources, right? So let me come back to really third point, that yes, we have designed the right course, we have launched it good, we got the relevant students into our program. And the third point, now the trouble start, we have to really teach. Whether it is in brick mortar environment or whether it is in a digital environment. For the digital environment, we need to really have very strong learning management system. And this digital university initiative, in Silo, we have already seen various examples of SWAM or NPTL or EduSet, which we have launched a couple of years back. India, you would be glad to know that India is the only country which has launched the EduSat. But on the contrary, it is also a sad aspect that this whole project is abandoned. Why? Because we don't have a very strong bone of content sharing, which is called learning management system, and it's also available free of cost. Anyway, so learning management system, the point which I'm trying to really emphasize, that learning management system, whether it is a brick mortar or whether it is a virtual world or a digital world, it is a backbone. While so case in point, even our institution ages, while we deliver the on-campus classes, 90% of students are on campus. we use learning management system to really keep the track of for dissemination of content, which is notes, PPTs, videos, recorded videos, or live videos, or assignment or examination, tracking everything. And all the world-class universities, be it Stanford or Wharton or Harvard, they all uses LMS equally, whether the course is online or whether this course is on campus. So let me give you the first example of on campus, why learning management system is important for on campus, even if you have no plan to really offer online course. Because uh, uh, while I was doing my engineering, I used to wish that, yes, I wish if I had the recorded session of this faculty so that I can really go through 10 times, because I was not as intelligent as my other batchmates. I was a slow learner. So I wish I could really watch this video 5 times to really improve my understanding. And that most of us really we wish. But today's YouTube, today's Coursera or edX or all these platforms has enabled that, and they all have very strong learning management system. So learning management system is very critical parameter for success of any digital or brick mortar infrastructure, but more so for digital infrastructure. There are good technology providers which offer this solution, which is Moodle, Blackboard, Desire to Learn, Google Class. But while we are talking about, say, digital university infrastructure for India, we need to really rethink of building something at our own at a ground up. Now, learning management system is basically a virtual uh, say content management layer which lies on the cloud. We also need a smart classroom interface to convert existing brick mortar class into a digital class, or even for the content generation. So we need smart boards, we need say touch screens, we need a digital pen and to really create content which can be plugged into say video capturing content creation tools, right, which could be Zoom or it could be any other thing, right? So there are various move platforms essentially offer you repository of asynchronous course content, recorded or canned content. Udemy, Coursera, edX, they're popular ones. And these the same platform can also be used. It also becomes a backbone for offering ODL, right? One other important point which I want to really highlight, that while LMS learning management systems are there for last 25 to 30 years, they have been overly criticized for their monolithic nature. uh, they're dead elements. They don't talk to you, right? So there's a social component need to be integrated into this learning management system, which will really make this live. And they work in unidirection, which essentially mean that only faculty can really share the content, which is also a bottleneck. So the modern LMS, if we have to really think about new age digital universities, I think this traditional monolithic LMS would fail us. They would only do a small job. Uh, we need to really think about the smart class technology, which will integrate. And last 2 decades, various state government and central government has already facilitated smart boards in thousands of colleges and schools in this country. You need to also have a learners analytics to gauge the progress of the student, how they're doing, uh, what they're liking, what they're not liking, all those kind of stuff. Then while students are studying, you need to have very strong, say, pillar, which is to really administer a student, which taking care of the schedule of the classes, taking care of the attendance in the virtual world, how you're going to really measure that a student is attending or not, right? You need to issue them the digital certificates, which they can really share on various job portals. You need to issue the mark sheets, and since you are going digital, it is also prone to the hacking. So you need to also involve blockchain kind of technology so that you can really do the hashing of all those records, which cannot be changed either by the administrators or by the hackers or anybody, right? This will have all kind of facilities like fees management, leave management, transcript generation, HRM, notices, everything, right? Then the fifth pillar, you need to really have, say, skilling module, because you cannot keep on changing, say, curriculum. So you need to have a strong puller, and this can be powered by, say, canned recorded content, and wherein if you feel that Python is needed or machine learning or deep learning is needed or some new technology, TensorFlow is needed, you can really offer those kind of skills which can really lead a job. And last, which is the most important thing, yes, you need to really have a very strong, uh, say, digital framework around facilitating the internship and job, because that's the final objective of any student who is enrolling, right? And this framework should really facilitate the various stakeholders. And who are the stakeholders? Government should get the insight that what kind of skills employers are hiring and which are the skill gaps, so that government can really reinvest the money on imparting those skills. University administrators will also get this insight. At the same time, the companies and recruiters, not only from the India, from across the world, should be able to really offer them the remote working, internship, full-time hiring, all those kind of stuff. Students should be able to really prepare. Students should be able to really apply for multiple jobs with single application. Recruiters should get the better insight about, through the learners analytics, deeper insight that how students is performing, not purely based on some stupid aptitude tests for the campus recruitment only, right? And this will also help us in terms of really facilitating the job and meaningful work internship beyond the physical boundaries and barriers where a student is located, and that's what the vision is. And this is very critical, and I'm glad to tell you that as on today, MUNI is facilitating roughly around five state governments, over 650, 670 institutions in this country for campus recruitment, and various companies, Mastech, Funds Petals, GTS, all of them, they are recruiting candidates from across the country, even the remotest parts of the world, right? So you need to really have a massive system which can really facilitate the millions of jobs and internships churning and matchmaking. So let me stop it over here, and let me take question answers. Otherwise I can keep on talking for hours and hours. Here are my coordinates.
Hi, Bhupesh.
Happy to connect.
Shalendra
Mhm.
back here. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes.
Good
Shalan, I can
stuff.
hear you.
It seems that your video is frozen, but that's fine. We can still you ran through the presentation. That was very very nice. Thank you for doing that. I've got a couple of questions.
Yes,
Um, you talked about the that particular job app that you've created, where you get the details of what kind of jobs are available in the market, what is their needs and requirements. How does
right.
that entail back into your curriculum? How does that work?
So this portal, which is called Seagull, and I
Mhm,
borrowed this name from the Jonathan Seagull book, Seagull,
mhm,
right? So
mhm.
essentially, it adds wings to your dream. What happens when a recruiter, let's say Mastech, while recruiting the candidate, Mastech will also put the say, so they will have the process of aptitude test or technical test. The interview panel will also they evaluate the candidates, and in this whole process, the university also get the feedback in terms of where students are failing, which skills the Mastech or Consent Petals or any company has not recruited them, right? And ideally, these are the gaps which university or any academic institution is should be essentially should be able to really fill those gaps. And if they are reluctant and the logistics does not allow them to change the curriculum, and that is where the fifth pillar, which is the skill pillar, which I talked about, there you can really put those courses, right, as a stack, so that students, other than their curriculum, they can really go and study those courses rather than roaming around here and there, going to coaching classes and various platforms and learning it. right? The student is also motivated that yes, let me give you a concrete example. You're a mechanical engineer trying to apply for a Python job. Very simplistic example, right? So the portal tells you that yes, you're a mechanical engineer, you lack the Python skill. Go and acquire it. You, as a dean of placement or a career management center, you get that yes, Rajesh is there who lacks this skill of Python, and that's the reason he was not shortlisted, or that's the reason he was not selected. So I need to really offer this Python skill. And while company has shown the interest to even hire mechanical engineer as a Python developer, so you get multiple insight. So rather than you trying to really shoot in a blind, that you bombard that these are 2,200 skills, every company comes, whether it is a Google or Microsoft, every company comes and tell them, okay, these courses are important, these courses are important. They may or may not be important. The key is that you have to cut the clutter from this information overflow, and you need to take the action, which is actionable insight, right? Your slogan. So they need actionable insight at this point of time. What is needed for me to optimize my outcome, because I don't have infinite time. I have only 3 months time and it will get the job. And you as a training and placement officer, if your placement rate is 60%, you need to increase it to 90%.
Yes.
3 month period. You
Mhm.
need concrete, actionable insight.
Yep.
And it does that.
No, no, that's brilliant. The other thing that comes to mind is as the digital university gets set up, there is a lot of two-way information that can be learned from both from the industry and from and to the digital university so that they can improve on their curriculums. Because I would say that when people talk about AI, which is the field I play in, a lot of people do not understand what it is, and they're doing these courses called AI courses, which has got no AI in it,
Right.
and basically,
Yeah.
and they're just so that understanding from the industry back to the university is very very important. I think there was a gap in there already. Do you see that in the market as well?
Yes, so there is a huge clutter, and that's the reason where I was telling you that Coursera edX saw the rate of almost 99%, 98%. Even the SWAM. So I was watching the presentation of IIT Chennai's director, right? So there were almost 24 lakh students were enrolled for SWAM, and while the only 2.5 lakh were able to really pass the gave the exam, and 3.5 lakh actually completed the course. So there is a huge gap between how many enroll and how many actually completes. And this is everywhere. And one of the fundamental reason is that the student is not motivated. The student doesn't know that whether this is really important for him. So you saw that AI is there, AI is there, AI is there, everybody enrolls. But
Mhm.
neither they suit to their aptitude, nor they suit
Mhm.
to their temperament, neither it is of their interest, nor they see any motivation that if I complete this course, whether I will get the job or not. That uncertainty is there, and that uncertainty can only be finished when you really implement this end objective, which is placement, right?
Mhm.
So he need to have the visibility. So you can't really have these silo systems. You have to have one integrated giant monolithic platform, right? Just like a single brain, you can't really have. Maybe Ravan, why Ravan lost? Because he had a 10 heads, right? You have to have one head. And as a AI expert, you know that if you have to really offer the better insight, single truth, you need to really have one AI engine which is running and churning the data which is coming from the all the sources. Then only you can really give the better insight.
No, no, I totally understand and totally agree with you on that. The other thing that comes to mind is around that when we are getting these digital universities set up, as you mentioned that there are a few of them getting set up. Is there a is there a thought process which should be there, that there is an integrated or kind of a line of flow between these universities so they're not out of sync with each other and they're providing the same kind of education or a similar education, in other words?
So, Shailen, whatever the information I have gathered, whatever I spoke to a couple of academicians, I saw the interview of UGC chairman, Dr. Sahasra Buddhe, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
IIT director. I don't think there is any consensus at this point of time. They are evaluating, and I think they have taken 6 month, 9 month time to really formulate the policy how this digital university or universities will look like. So at this point of time, you have no idea whether it will be singular university or multiple universities, right? In my professional opinion of building up digital technology for last 20 years, 25 years, right? As a education entrepreneur, as a teacher, I believe it is going to be horrible idea to build single university because it is going to really fail, right?
Mm.
The way IGNO did good job, but at the same time, IGNO also failed on various fronts. So you have to follow the approach. Although digital university has got no physical shape, right? You already have a brick mortar in universities where billions of dollars is being invested,
Mm.
right? So you have to have an approach wherein you convert every brick mortar college and university into a digital university, because majority of these colleges and universities have also borrowed the money from the bank, which is the public money. If
Yep.
they go down, the NPA will also increase, right? And we
Totally.
also need to see that how education can increase the GDP, how we can really capture the international market, right?
Mm.
Which is big market, which is like a $10 trillion market by the time this whole digital university will really shape. So we need to
Mm.
really think that other than spreading the education to the remotest corners of the world, corners of the country, can we really increase also the GDP contribution through education? Right? So we need to convert all the brick mortar institutions, but at the same time include all the say current state open universities, which is 14 universities, central university, which is IGNO, and facilitate this digital university framework to everybody.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Bhupesh. Thank you very much for your time. It was pleasure having you on the show, like always. Hope this all works out very well. We are all scratching the surface at the moment and trying to understand how it is going to be and what it is going to be. But thank you very much for taking the time out and
Thank you, Shailen.
sharing your thoughts with the audience. I think it was a great conversation, and hope people learned a thing or two from you. And the people who are actually getting into the education sector should definitely reach out to Bhupesh, a dear friend, and has been always a great help in that space. So please feel free to reach out to Bhupesh. I'm offering that on your behalf, Bhupesh. But
Thank you. Thank you.
but great stuff. Thank you very much, Bhupesh. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And I'll see you soon.
Thank you. Thank you, Shailen. Thank you.
Good stuff. So, guys, that was Bhupesh Daheria from mUni. So, hope you like that particular presentation. All I suggest you to do is, if you're watching this on any of the platforms, please don't forget to press the thumbs up button, the like button, or the heart button, whatever you see, so that the word gets spread and more people can watch the session. Because the moment you like it, it gets propagated and shown on your particular channel as well. So it'll be great if you could like the session as it is going on. But before I get to the next guest, I would like to share that giveaway that we are talking about today. So I'm giving away this particular app, which is an invite only app, which helps you to optimize your LinkedIn profile. All those people who are watching this on LinkedIn, all you need to do is scan this QR code, and it will take you to, if you're watching it, if you're on iOS or Android Play, all you need to it will take you there, and it will allow you to download the app. And once you're registering yourself, it will ask for an invite code, and the invite code will be 611074. Use that invite code, and you'll get a free access to this particular app. And basically, it's a machine learning app which helps you to to look at your LinkedIn profile and tell you what is missing on it, what you should do to improve your LinkedIn profile, and also how it projects to the world. Because what I've seen is a lot of people think that their LinkedIn profile is doing the right thing, but not necessarily, because it misses a lot of things. For example, and I'll give you a classic one. Before I used the app, I was thinking that I am known for artificial intelligence, machine learning, and analytics. And when I ran the app, it showed me a word cloud, and I figured out that my LinkedIn profile didn't talk about that, which is funny. But anyways, that helped me to go and fix the LinkedIn profile on LinkedIn itself. So if you want some help, this is free, absolutely free, no ads, nothing. It is a simple app that helps you optimize your LinkedIn profile. and shows you how you project to the world. It doesn't do anything to your LinkedIn profile. You'll have to go and change that on LinkedIn profile. Anyways, so that's a giveaway. Invite code 611074. Name of the app is Link Plus AI. You can download on Google Android or Android Play or iOS Apple Store, depending upon where you are. Okay, coming back to our session today. My next guest is Dr. Shalesh Kumar. Dr. Shalesh Kumar is currently the Chief Data Scientist at the Center of Excellence in AI and ML, Reliance Geo. So he comes from Reliance Geo. He's the visiting faculty of machine learning at Indian School of Business and program mentor for the AI DS program at the Geo Institute of Eminence. Prior to his work, to this work, he worked as a distinguished scientist at Ola Cabs. He was the chief scientist there, and he was the co-founder of Third Leap, an edtech startup. And I think all those people who've got their children would have used Third Leap once in a while. He was a researcher in the Google Brain team, senior scientist at Yahoo Labs, and principal data scientist at Fair Isaac Research. So, an Illinois in this space. Dr. Kumar has 20 years of experience in building AI solutions in a variety of domains, including web, retail, finance, remote sensing, fleet management, computer vision, and conversational computing. He's published over 20 international papers and book chapters and holds more than 20 patents in AI and ML. He holds a master and a PhD in AI from UT Austin and BTech in computers from IIT Varanasi. So, without any further ado, let me bring in Dr. Shalesh Kumar. Hi, Shalesh. How are
Hi.
you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you, Shalendra, for inviting me. This was a wonderful session. The previous speaker had a very nice set of insights to share. So, very nice.
Good
Thank you
stuff.
for
Thank you very much, Shailesh, for taking out the time. First thing first, our names are almost similar. Just ENDRA and ESH if we were to
that.
swap them. But yep, thank you for taking the time out. I'll share. I'll get out of here and I'll leave the floor to you guys. Introductions and everything I'll leave on to Shailesh, and he's got a topic of education 4.0. Personalization is very key to my heart. So let's see. And I will leave it to Shailesh and I will get out of here.
No problem. Thank you, Shalendra. Good afternoon, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here. And, over the last 20 years, I've been doing AI in different fields. And one of the fields that I'm very passionate about is education and how can AI transform education. And we have a very unique opportunity, right? Post COVID, everybody's now comfortable with digital education, and we are enabled for digital education also, right? With connectivity, devices, and everything. So I think this is a very interesting, very disruptive time for all of us to reimagine what we call education 4.0. And the idea is, if you think about the education in India back in the days of the rishis, when the students would go to the rishis and study, the Dronacharya era, if you will, that was education 1.0. Education 2.0 is when the British education system came to India, which is what we follow even today, which is, classrooms, schools, one teacher teaching everybody in the class, everybody following a curriculum and all of that, was education 2.0. And we've been doing that for the last 200 years now. And now we are kind of reinventing education with all the online education that is coming thanks to the internet, devices, content, whether it is Coursera, Khan Academy, YouTube, Udemy, all of these online education portal is education 3.0 in my mind. And now I'm going to talk about the next thing, which is education 4.0. What should that look like? Is it purely digital? Is it purely physical? Is it a hybrid model? What part of it is digital? What part of it is physical? And how will it address the current crisis in education? Right. So let's talk about that. Um, and let's first start talking about the crisis, right? And we have all seen these reports coming out of the QS World University rankings, where the top universities in India, IIT Bombay, IISc, are at the rank 172. So these are last year's ranking. The rankings are better this year, but still, a country of 1/6 of world population, we export all kinds of talent to the whole world, and our universities are at this position is not acceptable, right? If you look at the last 100 years of Nobel laureates coming out of India, just imagine 100 years of a billion people, and we have only 7, 8 Nobel laureates to talk about. Again, not an acceptable metric, right? Why is this not happening? And I think the reason is that our education system has become a factory of test takers. You've seen the series called Quota Factory. Really, it's a factory. And what we teach our kids today is not to love the subject, not to become inventors, not to become thinkers, but to become test takers. So we are teaching them how to take IIT exam better, how to take medical exam, UPSC exam, ye exam, wo exam. We are not teaching them to be learners and students and inventors and thinkers. We are only teaching them how to become a test taker, because that's what a student thinks today. What are you doing? I'm preparing for a test. That is the culture we have created in the last 200 years in India, and we are continuing to follow that culture. And with the edtech world, if we keep exaggerating only that culture, right, a digital world of test taking, then we are not modifying the culture, we are just exaggerating the same bad culture, right? So the idea is, we are at a very critical time where we can imagine multiple things: how we teach, why we teach. Both questions we can reimagine and revisit. And I want us to imagine what education would have looked like if it has started today, not with no legacy at all, right? What would have we done differently? And one of the greatest documents I have read is the National Education Policy. So today there is a policy change that is happening, which is going to bring about a culture change in education, the culture change in school system, college system, university system. That's a very important thing, because policy defines culture in the academic world. And second, we are in the midst of AI, which is going to transform every sector, not just education, but manufacturing, healthcare, and everything. And if we combine the political disruption that is coming through the NEP and the technological disruption that is happening, if we combine these two things, I think we can completely transform the way we think about education. Yeah, and that is hope. That is the hope, and I want to present some ideas around that. Yeah? So let's go to the problem statement. Really, what is wrong with our education system, right? Why are we saying that there needs to be a change? And I'm not talking about now those metrics. I'm talking about the reason behind those metrics, right? So today we have what we call a one size fits all education system. Every kid is doing the same curriculum at the same pace with the same content. So if you're stuck with a certain teacher for that year for math, that's all. You're stuck with that teacher for that year for math. You're done. If you like him, not like him, you're done. You're stuck with something, right? Same homework every child gets. Whether you're a sharp child or a behind child or in the medium, you all get the same homework, right? Same test we all get. So this is the problem with our education system today. It has become a one size fits all education system. This is exactly like what a Krishi Darshan system does, which is saying, I will give you one Krishi Darshan program for all the farmers in the country, or I'll give you one medical advisory for all the sick people in the country. That is how weird it has become, right? Now, what happens because of this? There is lack of mastery learning. What is mastery learning is, if you have not mastered a concept and you have a 30% passing marks and you go from grade 8 to 9 because you have passed, quote unquote passed, you have not mastered anything, you have 40% mastered, and you move on to the next grade and the next grade and the next grade. So by the time you're in the 12th grade, just imagine a 12-story building you have built. First floor was done 40%, second floor done 40%. What will happen to that building by the 12th grade and going forward? So lack of mastery learning says, unless you have mastered a concept, no matter how long it takes, you cannot move to the next level. But today, if everybody has to move to the at the same pace, some people don't have not mastered it, some people have mastered it, but they're all moving at the same pace. So that is wrong. That is not how education should be, right? So kids are struggling. 70% of the kids we interviewed during my edtech startup, we talked to a lot of kids. They lose interest in the subject within the first 3 days because of many reasons, right? Either the teacher is not good, the content is not good, they are not ready to consume that content, or many other reasons, right? The smart kids are the 10% who are not challenged because our school system is one size fits all. That means, you do the same thing for the smart kid, for the medium kid, and for the poor kid, right? You do exactly the same thing. It's absolutely not going to work, and we are seeing that every day. So smart kids are not challenged, and the private tuitions are not affordable. Not everybody can do it, so it creates an even more distance between students and other students. And then there's a lot of peer pressure and parental pressure that you have to get into IIT, you have to do this, you have to come first in class, you have to become whatever, right? And that is the problem with the students today. And when I look at this, my heart breaks, because we are at a stage in technology. We can personalize your pizza with Swiggy. You can personalize your Netflix. You can personalize your Twitter and LinkedIn and YouTube and everything else. Your homepage on Amazon. Everything we do digitally is now personalized. But education, which is supposed to be the most personalizable thing, is not personalized. So this is criminal. And I think this is the time when we put our foot down and say, no, I cannot tolerate that my pizza is personalized and Netflix is personalized, but my education is not personalized. Right? That system is failing us, especially when we are ready. Politically and technologically, we are ready to do it. Right? What about the teachers? Today, what do teachers do? We interviewed a lot of teachers. They spend a lot of time doing things that they don't need to do. Like preparing a homework or a test is a manual thing. It's a one size fits all, one homework for every child, one test for every child. Correcting the homework is a chore, right? Half of the time they're busy correcting their homeworks. Giving feedback, if you want to give very detailed feedback to every child on every problem, it becomes too much work for a class of 30 students multiplied by 5 sections you're teaching. How do you summarize and absorb the result? There's no reporting system because the data is not digital yet. Copy to pen, right? How do you remember which student is doing well where, which student is not, who is struggling, who is doing better? And how do you then personalize education? So you understand that in a purely digital teaching environment that we have, which has been working out for us for the last 200 years, is not allowing us to make our teachers go beyond the chores, right? And they cannot do anything because it's not humanly possible to do all this, to remember who did what wrong, to personalize the curriculum for each child or a group of students is not possible today if we remain in a physical teaching mode forever, right? So that is the problem. And the idea is, like AI is augmenting a radiologist, and AI is augmenting a doctor, or AI is augmenting a driver. Can AI also augment a teacher? Can AI take care of some of the chores and do them better because it has scale, it has memory, it doesn't get tired, and it doesn't worry about that. And it can bring in some level of intelligence, which we can learn from what the teachers want. Yeah. So now, if you look at the different experiments that we have done with education, right? If I look at the metrics of quality, availability, scalability, personalization, affordability, and if you look at our school systems, right, the quality is going down. I'm talking about the average school, not the top 5 best schools in the country, but everybody after that, right? Availability with school fees, private, now the availability is medium, but still a lot of villages don't have proper schools. Personalization is absolutely not there. One size fits all. Affordability and all that is medium, right? If you look at home tutoring, there is very high personalization, right? A home tutor knows exactly what the student is doing, what he is struggling with. He can go backward, forward, clear the doubts one on one. That would be ideal, but it is highly unscalable, right? You cannot have one personal tutor for every child in the country. So that is the other model, but people who can afford can do it. Then online tutoring, Vedantus and all that. Again, it is a version of home tutoring taken to an online mode. The only problem is if the same tutor teaches the same child every session, then he builds up a thing. But as a human teacher, you still cannot remember the 50 students you are teaching, right, in one year. So there is this thing. And then there is an online world, right? The Coursera world of education, which is very high in quality, the best teachers in the world. So thank God they have made sure that the quality of education and content is extremely high. It is available online. So now every child in every village can access it, except for language problems. It's available only in one language. We need to make it available in multiple languages. Scalability, there is no problem. Whenever the child wants, a billion people want to study Pythagoras theorem at the same time is possible. It was not imaginable in the previous world, but today it is possible. We need to think like that, right? And but personalization is no, because there is only one content, whether it is Byju's best teacher, one content, Coursera best teacher, one content. There is only one content. So personalization is not there. And other kinds of personalization apart from content is not there. And affordability is very high. These courses are almost free if you go to Khan Academy, and still affordable compared to the regular school fees in a private school today, right? So what would education look like if 4.0 look like if it was born today, right? What would it look like? So, can we make educational content easy to create and distribute? And now we have seen during COVID time, every teacher takes a camera, starts teaching on her own house, and puts the video out there, right? So we now have learned the art of creating content, putting it out there, right? Everybody has devices. Everybody is, the cloud, and the idea of a classroom limited to a 12 by 12 room is a wrong idea of classroom now. Classroom is a YouTube channel, is a classroom. Classroom is an online course in Coursera. That is the new definition of classroom. Unless we jolt ourselves out of the 200-old-year mindset, we will not think differently about what a future notion of a classroom and a library are, right? And it can become extremely scalable and extremely personalized at the same time. See, there's this trade-off between scalability and personalization, and that trade off is what AI can address very well. That is the fundamental thing that AI does: scalable personalization. If we sleep over it, we will understand what it means. That's what it has done on Netflix and YouTube's and everywhere else. Can it not do that in education? Yeah. So that is the promise. And I think we are making very good progress. But, if more people get involved, this can be done in 5 years instead of another 100 years. Right? Now, if you think about the journey of AI typically, infrastructure. So I'll take school as a vertical, education as a vertical instead of this journey applies to every vertical, whether it is retail, telecom, any vertical. Let's take school as a journey, education as a journey. There are four parts to this, right? Infrastructure. So we have created school systems, labs, books, libraries, curriculums, textbooks, delivery system, all of that, coaching classes. This is all infrastructure. And we have only stopped there because we never thought about automation beyond that. There is a physical book. Can we go to a digital book? Can we not buy it? Can we download it? Can we automate the delivery of homework? So Google Classroom has now shown how we can start to do automation. Once we do automation, data will start getting collected. Who did what homework? Who did not finish this on time? What was the mistake he did? Data gets collected, and then AI can be done on top of that data, right? So this is the typical journey. Every company, every vertical knows how to do it. Education also knows how to do it. We just have to do it now. Yeah. So within the AI, it's not enough to say how many students passed, how many failed. Every time we hear this after 12th board exam and all that, reporting the past is not enough, right? And saying this is your report card of the past. I don't care about my report card of the past. I want to know what is going to be in the future. So the next thing is, can I predict this future and say, look, based on his performance on a digital ecosystem, he is going to fail in this, get 70% in that, and pass in this with flying colors. Can I predict the future? Right? And then if I can predict the future, can I correct the prediction or exaggerate the prediction if it is positive, right? So can I say that based on my prediction he's going to fail in Pythagoras theorem concept? What should I do? Should I give him more content on that? Should I give him more problems on that until he reaches a correct level of mastery in that concept, right? And AI is really about creating a learning path for a first grade to a 12th grade all the way. Just let me repeat that. how do I create a learning path for a student from first grade to 12th grade in a continuous curriculum, personalization mode. That is the promise. And we just have to wean off of this idea of what is a school, what is a classroom, and what is a board. If we just wean off of this idea, we are there, right? It takes a simple nudge to get there. So how does an AI cycle work? Let me talk about that, then we'll come back to education. How do we apply this to education domain, right? So in the AI world, what we do, we think of this universal cycle, which is monitor everything. So in the manufacturing world, we monitor all the IoT data. In Google search, they monitor every click and all that. So we monitor everything, collect all the data. Today, this is missing in education, right? Then we discover what needs attention. So if a student is not doing well in certain topic, it has nothing to do with which school, which curriculum, which board. If a student is not doing good in one topic, what do we do about it? So discover the problems. Then analyze the root cause. Is it because this topic you have not studied well, or is it because the prerequisite is something that you have not scored well? Right? You're trying to study the next topic and prerequisites you don't know. So how do we do root cause analysis? And then we synthesize an action and say, stop what you're doing, go back and study the previous concept, then come back to this. This is what a tutor would do, but in a one size fits all, finish the course mindset, this is not possible. Yeah. Then you execute, and then you measure the impact. Then you see, I gave the student these videos to watch, gave him these practice problems, adaptive and everything. Was it improving or not in the assessment? And then you say, no, he's not improving. Maybe there is something else I should do. And then you keep improving your AI system. Pretty much like a tutor would improve his own teaching style to a student, the AI can improve its own teaching style to 1 million students a day with that much of data, because it can scale to that level, right? So just imagine taking a single tutor who can only teach 5,000 students in a lifetime. If an AI can teach 1 million students in a day, how much data we can collect and how much improvement can it have, right? That is the promise. So where do we want to go? We want to go away from broadcast decision, one course, one chapter at the same time for everybody, to personalized, batch to real time. There is no such thing as, by this time you have to finish this much, right? Real time as in, if you have done this, I can tell you what to do next, right? Real time, it's trigger based, it's not calendar based. It is not reactive. Oh, you have failed, let me put a tutor now. It can be proactive, because the AI system can predict where you will do well, where you will not do well. And it doesn't have to be tactical that, oh, I just need to focus on few subjects to get you through an exam. But after that, you're burnt out and you're not creative anymore. And I've talked to many, many IIT professors. They are fed up of students coming in right now, because these people are trained to pass an exam. They are not trained to think and innovate in the quota factories. And what is happening today? We have made them very good IIT entrance exam people, but they are very poor in, thinking forward, right? Solving problems and creating solutions. So strategically, we are destroying our next generation of students, because we are pushing them to become test takers, right? All right. So how does that AI template work in general and specifically for education? So what do we do when we have to imbibe education में AI in that field? So we start with, what are the metrics you want to define. So today the metrics are kitne bacche pass hue, how many got distinction, how many. So the metrics are only very stupid today. Therefore, we have created a stupid system of education, right? If your metric is what is your JE rank and 95% marks in board exam or what, then that's all you will do. We only create a system equivalent to the metrics that we desire. So if we have bad metrics, we create a bad system of education. What is the right metric, right? What is the learning outcome we need? What is the learning engagement? Does the student want to go to school today? That should be a metric of education. Does the student want to study from this teacher? Is he interested in this subject? That is a metric, not how much you are able to do. So we need to tweak our metrics. We need to think about practice efficiency. For example, if I spend 1 hour, how much is the delta in my understanding of the concept? That is a metric. Now, how do I spend that 1 hour? Can I make that more efficient? That is the question, right? So start with the right metrics. We have a lot of domain knowledge in education. What are the concepts that need to be taught before? What are the different teaching methodologies, learning styles, and a lot of metadata around content. So we have a lot of domain knowledge in in healthcare, in education. What we are lacking is stimulus data. Today, if 99% of our students are doing homework in a physical notebook and with a physical paper pencil, that data is not collected digitally at all. We have absolutely no idea who is going through what. Right? Now compare that to what Amazon does, or Netflix does, or Google does. Right? They collect every click on everything you do, right? And we collect absolutely zero data on education. So this layer we have to fix. We need digital platforms for people to watch the content, do the homework, ask for hint, connect to a mentor. All of this, if it is done digitally, then a lot of that data comes in and we can tell exactly where a student is in their learning journey, right? And I'll talk about that. And then the state thinking is very important. State thinking says, okay, if this is the data you have collected, what is the state of learning of each student on each concept? Does he know it? Can he apply it? Can he innovate? Can he teach that to somebody else? So we can think of state in a very different way. It is not about physics, math, chemistry, and how many marks are there. That's a report card. We need a state vector which is very, very fine grained. In one concept at level 3, how are you doing? Can I do it for 200 concepts? And can I be very precise about it? So I can navigate you through that maze of what you should study next and all that. And then based on the state, I can tell you what are the things I should personalize, right? What you should study next, which content is best for you. Can we wean off of this idea that there is only one teacher you are stuck with and that is the only content? Today we are weaning off. We are saying the same student can study the same concept from anywhere, right? Online world. And it is possible, right? So content is freed up, but now we have a problem of too much content. If you search for quadratic equations on YouTube, you get like a million hits. Which is best for you? So somebody needs to personalize the content for you, your learning style and teaching style, right? Uh, how do you do testing, adaptive testing? How do you do mentor personalization? Who is the best person to teach you this topic? It has absolutely nothing to do with which school you go to. It can be anywhere in the world. You should be able to do it, right? So the need is the following. The students want the following. They want to know, what am I ready to learn next? Not because it is April or March, so you should learn this. It is whatever, so you should learn this. Can I give them personalized curriculum, right? Can I give them personalized content? What you should study, who you should study from, right? Can I give them personalized problems based on what problems did I do right and wrong in the last 5 problems? Can you give me the next problem which is highly personalized for my learning, right? And we'll talk about that. And how do I proceed to the next step in a problem? So if I need help on a digital app, there is nobody at home, it's 2 o'clock at night, my parents are not educated, I live in a village, how do I give help to that student? Step by step in a problem. Physically not possible, digitally possible. What did I do wrong? Can I get step level feedback? Instead of telling me you got 2 points cut for this, I need to tell them why. And a good teacher will always make sure I'm cutting so many marks because this step was wrong. But that is not a scalable thing. Can AI do that for us, right? Is there a better way to solve the problem? If you are stuck and you're going on the wrong path, what does the tutor do? When he's sitting and watching you solve a problem, it says, no, can you try it this way? And then the student, oh, yes, that's a better way. Can AI do that? Can it figure out that you're going the wrong path in a problem solving world and take you to the right path, right? What have I mastered so far? Can you give me fine grained dashboard of myself, right? What are the prerequisites? I don't know why I am not able to get this. What are the prerequisites that I should study? Today, there is no such feedback given to students, right? What concept should I review? Exam is coming. Tell me, what was I weak at? I don't remember. The whole year has passed. What should I review so I'm better at the final thing, right? What does the teacher want? So a teacher wants, what should I teach next, to whom, to which section? So we'll talk about that. How do I group similar students together? See, one of the most important promises of AI is that it can group similar things together. And now imagine a teacher can teach one group of students which is very homogeneous differently than another group of students who is also very homogeneous differently, and the teacher can adapt, right? That is possible now in a digital physical education system, right? What homework should I give? Today they are giving the same homework to every child. Can I change that? What assessment? What feedback? What are the prerequisites? How do I know that for this student I should tell him to go watch this video and that student to learn something else and all that, right? And how do I give very insightful feedback? All this is very, very time consuming, not scalable. Teachers cannot do it. Let them do what they do best, which is just to teach and to facilitate the process of teaching. And all these chores can be done with AI. Yeah? So here is the solution. So the digital transformation in education is impending. We all know it. We just don't know what form it will take. We know that we are ready to do this with the policy and the technology. We just have to figure it out, right? About what is the right product, right? Why are we saying we are ready for digital transformation? Because we have everything available, right? And we have seen the benefits of this, so I don't have to talk about it. But we have seen how education sailed through during COVID because we have all this. Now AI has not yet played its role in any of these big companies, tech companies, Khan Academies or Coursera's or Byju's. AI has still not played the role it can play. Everything else is there, but AI is still missing, right? So how do we get to that level? So here is the thing that we tried to build in my edtech startup. We called it a teaching machine for the planet. And the idea was, if you were to really build a digital experience of education, right? Not replace a teacher, but give a digital avatar of a teacher, maybe in a metaverse or whatever it is possible now. What should it be able to do? Imagine a new version of a slate, a digital slate. What should be able to do with that digital slate, right? So it should be able to interpret all your handwriting, all your formulas in physics, chemistry, all the languages you are writing and scribbling, all the images on that. It should be able to interpret a lot of that data, that or your speech and other things, right? It should be able to understand the student at every stage very, very well. It should know exactly what knowledge you have in what topics, what can you apply, what can you not apply, what kind of mistakes are you making, what is your behavior in test taking or content consumption or practice. How do I improve that, right? So can I build a very deep profile of every student which changes every day, right? Because of feedback data. And based on that profile, can I personalize for every student in the whole world what should be the next topic you should study, what is the best content for that, what is the best homework I should give you, and even what is the best solution for you. Because one student may like one solution, another may like another solution, right? It is not possible to do this in a physical textbook. You cannot do this. Physical textbook is a static thing. It has chapter 1 to 20. It has the same problems. It has the same thing at the end. Physical textbook cannot do this. We need a notion of digital textbooks, right? What does that mean? And then communicate, right? Can it become more human, right? You're dealing with kids. Can we have speech enabled conversations, gestures, emotions, all of that built in, right? So this would be the technologies needed, which are all available. We just have to put them together, right? So the idea is, imagine there is a student who has a current state of learning, and now the system says, oh, based on that I can tell you what you should learn next. You are ready to learn this concept, right? And then what is the best content I should give you? Once you have consumed the content, what is the best homework practice I should give you? Then what is the extra content I can give you from National Geographic or wherever else to explore that topic? And then how do I give you assessment? Again, personalized assessment. And then how do I analyze the result and rebuild your profile, and then again continue this cycle every day, right? Like a personal tutor would do. Can we do that? Yeah. So the first is curriculum personalization. Today, what happens? All students study the same thing at the same order, same thing, irrespective of whether they have mastered it or not, right? And one of the most important studies done in the 80s was about this idea of mastery learning. And there is enormous evidence, and we all understand this intuitively, that if you tutor one-on-one, make sure the student has mastered a concept, only then he moves forward. Versus if you do, one size fits all, there's almost twice the difference between the quality of education. The only thing is this is not scalable, that is scalable. Yeah. So how do we crack this problem? So can we personalize the curriculum? Let me just show an example. So imagine a morning a student wakes up and says, I want to go to quote unquote school, which is his digital school, and he goes to his laptop or whatever, and the system says, you are student A, I have built a profile for you up till today. You have done very well in concept P, medium in Q, and very poorly you are doing in R. And student B is doing very well in R, medium in Q, and very poorly in P. Now today what happens, if both these students attend the same class, they both get to learn concept Q at the same pace, right? They're ready for it or not, it doesn't matter. They have to learn that because that's what is the topic of the day today. Not acceptable. So how do we do curriculum personalization? Now imagine we need a system that can predict and say, if today in this state PQR to student A, if I teach concept X, Y, and Z, what would be his score, right? Would he learn it easily or not? Would he succeed in this now? And how do we do it? We basically do exactly what Netflix does on this thing, and exactly what Amazon does on products. A concept is the same thing like a content or a product. And based on the relation between concept to concept and what you've mastered, we can easily tell what you will be able to study next, right? So what happens, you predict the proficiency, and now the system predicted that if I teach you X, you will do better. If I teach you Y, you will do poorly. If I teach you Z today, you'll do poorly. It's a different number for different students. And now what should happen? Based on that prediction, the system should say that, look, you are student A, I think you should study concept X or concept R or concept Q, and your student B, you should study concept Y and concept P. So it's not one size fits all. Everybody studies a different topic every day, every hour, right? Eventually, they all finish everything, but the path they take is very different. They did not take the same path, right? Content recommendation. Today, when you're stuck with a teacher, whether you've signed up for Coursera, you're stuck with a teacher. There's only one teacher. Now imagine a marketplace of teachers. We have a marketplace for Ola, Uber. We have a marketplace for food and restaurant. Can we not have a marketplace for teachers and student connection? And we say the best teacher may the best teacher win. You create content, we'll facilitate. And now they're putting content with proper tagging. And now we are using AI, learning what is the teaching style of this teacher. She first gives an example, then she gives a definition, then she elaborates, then she does a derivation. Is one teacher. The other teacher is, she starts with a definition, then she does this, and then, so the teaching styles are different. And now, why a student likes one teacher more than the other? Because it matches their learning style. So can we build these models of teaching style, learning style, and do a match? This is a new version of Google search. I am so and so student, match me the best teacher for this content in this in this language. So teaching can be, now a teacher doesn't work for a school. She just creates content to the best of her capability. How do we do assessment and practice? Today, this is what happens, right? uh, this is what we do. We say, hey, you are all in grade 6th and 7th and whatever, this is what you're supposed to know. Let me give you all the same homework, the same assessment. And that's what we are doing today. And that's why our students are struggling, right? We are all different. So how can you give us the same thing, right? So how do we transform that? So the idea is, can we generate a different kind of a test for each one every time, right? And that's a very beautiful thing. Adaptive learning, adaptive testing and personalized homework is a very straightforward thing now. You basically observe a student doing a digital homework. You know what steps and sub steps he is making mistakes, and you can pull the next question from the library, which kind of helps him in improving on that part. Yeah. So how do we do that? How do we make them learn to think? Today what happens, we make them solvers and not thinkers. So if this is the problem, this is how you solve. This is what NCRT textbook told you. and you do the same thing. You don't even explore that are there other ways of doing it. So what are our students doing? They're learning the prescription and memorizing it and then regurgitating that, right? So we are becoming a memorization society. We are not becoming a thinking society. So imagine an app shows them the alternatives all the time. Imagine metaverse, you're wearing a goggle, you are standing on this expression, and what happens? You are shown three options, you move to one of them. Now at least you know that there are three options. Earlier there were no knowledge of three options. Then you pick the best, again you are shown the next options, the next option. If in a video game we can do this, can we not do this in math education or physics education, right? So the idea is the teaching machines, AI has to become a problem solver first. AI has to be able to solve a problem in all possible ways and be ready, and then only it can teach a student how to solve the same problem in all possible ways, right? And how to correct and divert them and say, no, no, you're heading in the wrong direction, or it's a longer path and all of that, right? How do we make them learn to think and automatically come up with those intuitions? Yeah? How do we not give them feedback at a problem level and say, look, this problem ABCD, you got 20% marks, 80% marks? It's not a useful feedback at all, right? What is useful is, here you did this, you should have done something else. This was the step that was wrong, therefore it was wrong. So I need to know why the question that I solved was wrong. I don't need to know how many questions I got right or wrong, right? So there's a difference between building a scorecard versus building a report card. So how do we go to the next level? So these are the disruptions we need to do. We need to build a very universal, knowledge graph between concepts. What should you study, and therefore what can you study next? That graph has to be continuously enriched by the best teachers in the world, and say, no, no, this arrow should be in here, and we need another arrow, and all of that. And this arrows will get weighted when students are solving it, and we get to learn that this prerequisite versus that post requisite, how is the edge weight going to learn based on what students are doing, and those weights are getting refined. So this is one big disruption. How do you think about the connectivity between concepts, and how do you learn that over time with the millions of data that you're getting, right? How do we do root cause analysis? So today, if a student is saying this is what my scorecard looks like in different topics and concepts, it's not enough to know this. It's very important to know why you are red on this concept. And because I have a knowledge graph, I say, oh, because this concept you are not well. Now, why are you bad on this concept? Oh, because this purple concept is what you're not good at. So then we go to root cause analysis. Instead of saying this is what you know, I want to answer the question, why are you not able to make progress on one concept? So root cause analysis is an important disruption in mastery learning and filling those gaps. Yeah. So a journey of a student looks like this. You're not ready to take a concept, learn a concept. So we will wait till you're ready to take the concept. Once you are ready, because you have mastered all the prerequisites, then we say, okay, now go learn, watch these videos, do this and do that. Once you have watched enough videos, now you can go do practice. Again, it is adaptive practice. If the practice thinks you're not done enough, it goes back to the content. And once you've done enough practice and we are sure that now you're ready to give an assessment, you give an assessment. And in the practice also, you do solve step by step, not a multiple choice question, right? So we know how you're solving it, where you're making mistakes. And then we say, okay, now you have mastered the concept. And once you've mastered the concept, can you teach the concept to somebody else? For me personally, learning is best uh, evaluated if I can teach that concept to somebody else. So now imagine a new kind of an ecosystem in India where a very bright eighth grader can teach a concept to a sixth grader anywhere in the country with a digital mentoring app. It does many things to our students. It creates empathy, it creates social responsibility and all of that, and it removes this idea of competition. I'm not competing with everybody, I'm cooperating and helping everybody evolve. Can the digital platform help me do that, right? And now if teaching becomes a grading system and say, unless you teach to 3 students and they like your teaching, I'm not going to let you pass this exam, then it creates a social service in education. This kind of thing is possible digitally, right? So now here is another example of a disruption of a digital physical school system. So imagine a teacher has got a set of students who are very similar to each other, who know certain things and who know have difficulty with certain other things. So a teacher knows exactly which group I am teaching. And this has come from AI. I'll show you the whole cycle, then you'll understand. So the teacher is teaching exactly what this group of student needs, not a general topic, what this group of student needs, right? And then she gives exactly the same kind of homework templates and say, these are the templates. I'm not giving you exact problems. I'm giving you templates of the problems to solve. And now the teaching machine can create a adaptive practice for every student and say, from the same templates, I'm going to give you the problems. To some students, I'll give you more easy to hard. Some I can give hard directly because I know you can solve it or not. And then based on that, it summarizes and says, now I have the new profile of every student. Let me do clustering now, again, of all the students in the school. And now imagine, today if I go to a DPS or a very large school, there are like 20 sections in the same class, 7th grade, A to Z, right? Now imagine, today these sections are static, they're fixed. If you are in section A, you are in section A throughout the year. Now look at how we can slightly change this idea to a new kind of thing. So imagine digital, physical working together. So digitally, we have solved the problems, we have assessed the student, they are done with the homework, teacher never had to correct anything. That is digital. Now what happens, every day teacher gets a message that now I have reclustered all your 7th graders into these new 20 segments. Every day the system is reclustering them into 20 segments because you have 20 classrooms for 7th grade. And now each student is told, you need to go sit in this room, that room, that room, this week or today. And the teacher is told that this group is struggling with this and this group is struggling with that. And the teacher can adapt her teaching to each section. She's teaching a different thing because that is what that group of student needs and not the other group. This is an idea of what I call adaptive sectioning. And this is a great example of a hybrid digital physical learning system, Education 4.0. Yeah. And a lot of people talk about so much data. Look, Amazon has so much data, Google has so much data. But if we actually did education properly, every step of every problem in every subject, if we did this properly, we would have a lot more data than the entire Google search in a day from all the students in the world, right? So it's just a matter of collecting that data digitally. It is currently being generated but thrown in the textbooks, right? And all of that. So it's a very big data problem, and there's a big innovation to be done there, right? So what is the future school looks like, right? So it's infinitely scalable, right? It's always available. The student doesn't have to worry about 7 to 12 or whatever the school timing. If she wants to study at 12 o'clock at night or 6 p.m. after play, she can study. Always available. It's a digital system and highly personalized, right? And the definition of what is a library has evolved with Google search and all that. The definition of what a classroom has evolved because of massive online courses. And therefore the definition of what a teacher or a tutor or a teaching assistant can evolve, and that can be the new teaching machines we talked about. And what is a digital school? It's your tablet is your digital school, or your phone, and there is a physical school. So my last slide, uh, how do we think about hybrid education now? Digital physical education, like we have digital physical e-commerce, digital physical movie going experience. You buy tickets digitally, you go to movie physically, right? So we have digital physical world we live in. So the school system also can become digital physical, right? And the idea is the digital school should do exactly what we talked about, which is extremely personalized. What can be done digitally should be done digitally. So students should not go to a classroom to listen to a teacher at all. That the student can do at home with the best teacher in the world. So why should I go to this teacher and study? Can I do it digitally? Because content consumption is not a physical activity. I should never be going to a school to listen to somebody. I can do it anywhere. right? So that is one. Now the content is personalized to me, and all of that is personalized to me, right? And the practice and homework, why should a teacher give? If the system can give highly personalized, it is much better, right? Assessment the system can do. So anything that can be done digitally should be done digitally, is a guiding principle, right? And we can move more things to the digital world, relieve the teacher from all these chores of correcting and giving homeworks and all that. And what should the students do in that physical building that we go to today? We don't go there to now sit in a classroom. We go there to work in these adaptive classroom sections, and we clear doubts with the teacher, right? We do one-on-one physical mentoring if we want to. One grader can teach another grader. There is a purpose to coming to school, which is to help each other become better, not to listen to one lecture I could have listened at home, right? And work on problems and projects and hackathons. Instead of saying, I will do a homework in home, can we do a flipped classroom and say, I'm going to school, I'm looking forward to it because I have to solve a problem of society. I have to build a robot. I have to build a startup. I have to do a hackathon. I have to brainstorm how to do this problem better. So students don't go to school to study. They go to school to innovate. That is what they do. Study they can do anywhere. On the ride from bus to in the bus ride, they can finish the content, right? And they do group activities, debates, all of that in school. So this is a new model possible, education 4.0, with the digital physical world we live in. Yeah. So I'll stop there. I think I've taken enough time. Yeah. Thank you so much for your attention, and I can take some questions now.
Great stuff. Let me just get out of the presentation. Actually, that was brilliant, Shalesh. I must say that some of the things that you've said have totally blown away my mind. And even though that personalization is one of my favorite topics and I've built a career out of it, I never thought in that direction. And while you were saying stuff, I was thinking when children are studying their textbooks, that data should be captured, and we should very simply say that you haven't read that particular chapter. How you have not even opened it? How have you read it, right? So because most of the time, and I remember this is one, there is one comment that I make in almost every show of mine and every stage presentation I do in data science, that lots of people want to become data scientists are the ones who actually left chapter 8 of statistics in year 10.
Correct.
And they now want to become a data scientist when they didn't do the fundamentals itself. So how do you actually work around that? And if it was all documented, the moment they went in to do a data science course, they were like, you know what? You left
Yeah.
that chapter. Because you remember in our days, that chapter was optional. Optional. The
Uh,
question was always chapter 10 NCRT. Chapter 8 of statistics was an optional from. It was a probability chapter, which was optional to another maths question, 5 mark question, which used to come in the exam. And every time people used to leave that because that was the most complicated one.
correct.
So if we could document that and take that, that would have been great. But what you've said, some of the things, clustering students mindset and the way they're behaving in the class, that kind of information. And I think metaverse will make a huge difference going
Yes,
forward.
sir.
It will be a game changer.
Yes.
I'm also thinking about, helping a few metaverse organizations as we go forward, because education system, and that is where I've had one particular session on metaverse, um,
Hmm.
in 4 weeks from now, 4 or 5 weeks from now, where we'll talk about how metaverse will be impacting digital university and digital currency. So I think when Dr. Nirmala Sitharaman was thinking about digital university and digital currency, she was thinking about metaverse, in my view, because digital currency will enable metaverse, and digital university is where the education will happen. So there is a thought process around there as well. Um, you, but some of the points that you've raised are amazing, amazing stuff. And your digital physical personalized world education 4.0, I would say, is gold, is gold. There are a few questions. Let me just very quickly pick them up. Comments and questions. So there is the first comment from Raktim Singh. He's one of the speakers for Metaverse in next few weeks. So he says time is ripe, real time, instant gratification, personalized experience. And absolutely, he's right. His question is around anything on soft skills which can be imparted to students.
Yeah, very true. I think, learning about the subjects out there versus learning about yourself, I think this has to be balanced, right? We are studying physics, but we are not studying ourselves. What does that mean? And we have to think about behavior, attitude, character, values, speaking skills, and all of that. And I think that should become a very important part of the curriculum. And a lot of our success depends on those things, right? How do we behave? How do we take stress of exam and then work later? How do we lead our life with the right attitude? I think there are these very important soft skills. And if you look at the Vedic education system, it used to give us both the moral education and the material education at the same time. But today we have relegated that to one prayer in the morning and everything else is just material education, right? So I think we need, with the yoga and meditation and those kind of soft skills, and obviously communication skills. If you put a school where the teacher is half the time saying shut up, don't speak to every child and just listen to me, how are we going to build communication skills? So today, in our school, we are proposing that students should prepare a chapter and present, and they will learn how difficult it is. They will become, put themselves in the teacher's shoes. They will learn the art of communication. So I think we need to somehow remove this idea that teachers are the best teachers. Sometimes students are the best teacher. They know how students think. So automatically, public speaking skills, presenting skills, answering question skills, all that will develop, right? And I remember when I was in 8th grade, I used to wait for teachers to be absent so that I get a chance to stand up there and teach. And because I did that, now I'm able to teach, right? So this ability to communicate and all these soft skills are very important, and I think we need to think about them as equally as we think about material skills.
No, no, I totally agree with you. In fact, I must say one thing that because I am I'm in Sydney, and I used to have a our support office in India in my previous jobs. One thing which was very interesting, that when you asked the Indian team to think, that is where they failed. As long
Correct.
as you told them to do what they are supposed to do, they were fine. The moment you told them, okay, think about it and come back to me, they just don't. They can't just think. They can act, but
I'll
not
tell you why.
think.
Yeah, I'll tell you why. And the roots of this is in the Industrial Revolution education system of the British. They never wanted a thinker. They only wanted a clerk. They wanted a skilled labor. They never wanted an inventor. Invention was happening in Europe. Everybody else is supposed to
Follow.
run the factory.
Yeah.
And we still follow the same thing. That is my worry, that why are we not creating Nobel laureates, is because we are not producing thinkers. We are producing test takers and job doers. Today, in software world, design of an architecture is a very creative process. Coding it up is a very easy process. Design is difficult, coding is easy.
Totally
We are
agree.
focused on coding. Learn Python. Nobody is teaching how to become an architecture thinker, a system thinker, a design thinker, a solution thinker. That we don't do. We only teach them, ye tool hai, seek lo, right? And
I'll give
therefore,
you
we are
I'll give you another one.
doing.
Uh,
Yes,
on design, right?
yes.
I used to send people to write slides in India, and I did that once. And from second time, I said, slide mat likhna bhai, please. Don't write a
Code
slide.
different.
Just
Yes, yes.
just dump the content. I will create the slide here. Don't write
Mm,
slides, because you would be miserable in designing slides. And I,
correct.
in fact, one of my bosses used to say, Shelly, if I say the same thing, it'll be a racial abuse. But you can say
Uh,
it because you can say it. So that, but that's the reality, because
mm,
we don't teach our students, or in India, to be design thinkers, or to think or think about the design that they can build. And
Correct.
even today, I I should not be saying that. I was talking to one of my friends and I asked him to think about something and put it on a slide. You know what he did? He wrote two slides. One slide was the topic, the second slide was 4 points, answer. And I said, "You didn't think." He said, "I did all the thinking." I said, "Those 4 points for thinking." So
Correct.
that is one problem. And the
Yes.
second problem is when you ask them to think, and because, and I say that to people, that we Indians think too much as well. And when they start vomiting on the slides, and suddenly you have 50 slides or 60 slides.
Yes.
And the moment, the most challenging, this is the combination of your design and thinking together to bring
Correct.
those 40 slides into 10.
Yes.
And that's where it all blows up. So yeah,
Absolutely.
that is very important. I think you're absolutely right. What you've actually explained is brilliant. One more comment. There is a question, but there is a
Yes.
comment that I would want to make. You said DPS, and I come from DPS, and
Me too. Yeah.
unconsciously wrote digital physical school, and then I was looking at it. Oh, this is DPS. So, so we are getting there. Not that really. Anyways, let me ask another question that has come from YouTube,
Yes.
and that is from Annapurna Pradhan. She says, "How digital universities will deal with connectivity issues, especially in rural."
Yeah, see, I think with the companies like Geo and many other connectivity companies, and there are new models being tried now, which is a local village level thing and all that. So there are many models of connectivity that are coming up, all the way from satellite, what Tesla is doing to telecom, and then fiber and Wi-Fi. So connectivity is getting solved. Like electricity is there in rural now, connectivity will be there in rural. Today, Google, for example, wanted all railway stations to become digital, right? So people can come there and whatever. But now, how do we go from railway station to villages is the next thing, because to bring connectivity is not as simple as building a road. It's a different kind of thing. You have to dig, you have to take permissions, you have to put the fiber, you have to put the cell tower. So it's a lot of work. And creating a connected country, with thanks to what Geo did in the last 3 4 years, it brought connectivity, the cost down, and the reach all the way. They said, don't worry about cities are already connected, let's focus on villages. So rural connectivity is coming, and we want to now increase the quality of things people do on that, right?
Mhm.
It's not just about watching cricket game in a village. Is possible, can they actually study and become doctors and scientists starting in a village, right? So now the time is there with digital universities sitting on that digital connectivity platform to kind of raise the level of the kind of data that is communicated on those pipes. It cannot be the stupid movies and video games and all that all the time, right? So this is the next thing, and hopefully with initiatives like the digital university and all this, I'm sure a lot of villagers kids are now doing Khan academies and everything else online, and they're much ahead than what they were before, right? So it's a very beautiful time to be.
No,
Yeah.
no, you mentioned one thing, and which was very interesting, that there are so many solutions to the same problem on YouTube, right? For example, if you want to solve a quadratic problem or quadratic theorem, there might be 5 or 6 different solutions. Of course, there are, because it's maths, right? You could go whichever way you want. Which one is the best for me? I think that is a challenge that we still need to suss out and figure out how a person, an individual who's trying to go to Khan and also Coursera and also YouTube, and now suddenly trying to bring that all and see that in one place, how he is going to actually have a look at that. I think that is very, very important as well.
Yeah, very important, and I think it's very solvable in the following way. So imagine that to solve a problem one way, you need concepts A, B, C, and to solve the same problem another way, you need concepts P, Q, R, right? Because every step is a unique concept. Now, if a student is better in concepts P, Q, and R, his shortest path becomes different than concept A, B, C. If he's struggling with concept B, and you show him the first solution, he will not get it because B is difficult for him. So think of it like adaptive routing based on different edge weights. For every student, the edge weights evolve. So the idea is, as soon as they master the concept, that solution becomes easier for them, right?
Mhm,
So it's
mhm.
possible if we build this properly, holistically, like the last speaker was saying, we need to do it together systematically. You cannot have a content company separate, test taking company separate, and tutoring company separate, and all of that. It needs to be together. That is what a university should do. It should
No,
bring
I,
all this.
I totally agree with you in that. And I think, again, a metaverse will play an important role,
Yes.
as long as that metaverse is tied to a particular hinge somewhere, that
Correct.
everything, at least the content flow is accurate. Because there is one thing which comes into my mind all the time, and I was in India, I think 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, and someone told me that, oh, they're teaching AI in grade 10. And I said, well, do they understand what AI is in the first place before they're trying to teach? Because some colleges, some schools have started teaching AI in year 10. Are they teaching stats? What are they teaching, right? What is the curriculum? Even the lecturers do not understand the concepts as yet. But it needs to be hinged, and I think it needs to work hand in hand with the industry. Again and again, I say that all the time, where they need to explain what it means before it gets executed on the ground. I think that is very, very important.
Yeah, yeah. And talking about school not understanding AI, I think a lot of industries also don't understand AI,
Oh
right? So,
yes, yes,
so we need to work backwards. And so, based on this, I'm building a course called The Art of Thinking, which will include concepts from computer science, statistics, this and that, building up towards that, a strong foundation of thinking first. Then AI will come automatically, right? It's a very natural subject. It is not a difficult subject because we do AI all the time in our minds. It's one of the most natural subjects taught in the worst possible way these days, right? So I
I,
think we need to change that, and then it will be done very well.
no,
Yeah.
I'll tell you one more thing. I went to see the CIO of Taiwan's largest bank, and they brought me in. I flew all the way from Sydney, 10-hour flight, and I went to see him, shook hands, and they introduced me as the best-selling author and AI specialist and whatever. The moment he shook hands, he said, "I don't believe in AI." So my meeting actually finished before it even started, at the time I landed there. So then I thought, I need to educate him. There's a problem. So I said, I don't believe in AI either. So let's
Correct.
start. So we
Correct.
started from I started from statistical modeling to
Mhm.
explaining what predictive modeling is, to explain what machine learning is, and then to go to AI to explain to them to what is AI. Because people do not get those concepts, and because these tech companies and lots of technicians have thrown the word out there. In fact, don't get me wrong, there was a guy who was selling AI storage, and I was like, what's that? So there are concepts that people don't understand either. There's another
Yeah.
question. Let's quickly ask and run through that from Annapurna herself, and she says, also we need some hands-on on
Correct.
experiment
Yes.
examples in medical sciences. How digital
Yes.
universities will cope up with those challenges.
Exactly. So that's why I'm saying purely digital is not going to work. We need physical digital. Purely digital university is an incomplete construct. We need to think of a hybrid university model where, imagine, you can be studying medical education online from any content provider, but there is a local center which could be part of a hospital or whatever, where you actually go to do hands-on practice. That is not a medical university the way we think of it today, right? So we need a digital physical everywhere. Physics you cannot study just by content, you have to do experiments. So the labs have to be provided all over. So all our buildings, if we remove the tables and chairs for classrooms and make them, labs, and say there are thousands of labs available for physical work. There are thousands of rooms available for doing hackathons and brainstorming. That's what the physical buildings should be converted to: labs, playing fields, stages for plays, and doing all this. And the digital part happens at home, right? And so there is a need for physical. I completely agree. In many fields, you need physical. and therefore we cannot have a purely digital world. We have to have physical digital education. You cannot teach robotics completely digitally, right? So there is going to be need for digital physical. That's why I keep saying hybrid education, physical digital education. Yeah.
Good stuff. Thank you. Before
Thank you.
there is a message from Annapurna. Excellent session. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Annapurna. Thank you for
And I
asking.
want, just to put a thing, we are starting Geo Institute of Eminence, which is going to teach AI in a very different way, in a very thorough way. And we're going to inculcate all the soft skills and the hard skills and the research skills and the thinking skills simultaneously in our students. So look it up. Geo Institute is coming. We are going to announce soon, and we're going to start a session soon in July this year. Yeah.
Good stuff. Thank you very much.
Thank
Before
you.
you go, I just want to say one thing. It's
Yeah.
digital physical school. Guess what? It is DPS. So
Yeah.
I just want to so all those people who are watching from DPS, guys, the name is now Digital Physical School, not Delhi Public School. So anyways,
Wow.
that's been coined by Shalesh. So
Thank you.
thank you, Shalesh. Thank you for your time.
Thank
It
you.
was a pleasure having you on the show.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it. I think, well, I enjoyed it thoroughly. I hope the audience enjoyed it as well. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Bye. So, guys, that was Dr. Shalesh and Bhupesh Daheria. Guys did a great job explaining digital universities. I think I enjoyed it. Hope you guys enjoyed it too. Um, look it up. The Geo Institute of Eminence, that's coming up, and also Bhupesh's Ages School of Data Science, and also University that he runs. These things are happening. Digital. Digital physical school, as Shailesh called it, and I would say metaverse is going to play a very important role. And we are going to do a session on metaverse and how is it going to make a difference for the people who are watching this in India, guys. Digital university is the next wave. It's the way to go. I promise. Coming from the industry, that is where the world is going to be. So don't get us wrong. This is no agenda. This is the future. You're going to see a lot of digital space opening up, new colleges, new digital universities opening up because the technology is there, and now COVID has shown us how we can use that technology. So I hope you enjoyed the session. Before I go, one more thing before I go, for all those guys who want to download Link Plus AI, download Link Plus AI. You can just use the QR code to access it here. You can download it in both Apple Store or Android Store, and use it to see how your LinkedIn profile is complete or not complete, and what you need to do to actually make a change. Secondly, it also tells you how you project to the rest of the world through your LinkedIn profile. So if you use it, it will help you find that out as well. As I said to you, when I used it for the first time, I wasn't sure what I was telling people and what I could see. But anyways, it's an invite only app. It is not paid for. It is free, no ads, and the invite code you can use is 611074 611074. And afterwards, one more thing, very soon this is going to be off from being free. This is invite only accessible to my audience. So if you guys just go into the App Store or Google Android Store and download Link Plus AI and use the invite code 611074, it's all yours. So, guys, thank you very much. It was great fun hosting this show and also talking about digital universities. Thanks to Dr. Shalesh Kumar and Bhupesh Daheria, and thanks to everyone who's watched this. Guys, if you're watching this and you like what you watched, please press the like button, press the subscribe or follow button wherever you're watching. It means whole lot of things to us because it shows the appreciation from you guys and also gives other people an opportunity to watch what we're showcasing. So please like, share, comment, whatever you can do to promote this, because this more and more people see is what we want people to see and learn from it. So thank you very much, and I will see you very soon. Very soon. Bye now. Take care.